Vegas. Please welcome Sarah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Arizona. Awesome. I'm Sarah Leidy, Leidy Kelly, and I lead all things paid media at OLIPOP. So I'm super excited to be here today. Media Post puts on a great event. I've been to a couple of them in the past, and you guys are going to learn a ton over the next couple days. Thank you. Okay, so these are our two founders, Ben and David. They initially started OLIPOP because they wanted to bring a healthier alternative to the marketplace for traditional soda. So they created OLIPOP, which is I want to see a show of hands. How many people have not tried OLIPOP? Be totally honest. Awesome. Okay. Well, hopefully after this, I can convince you guys to, go to your local retailer and pick up a can of OLIPOP because it's awesome. We have 16 flavors. We're known as a new kind of soda, and what Ben and David did with this product is they took the traditional flavors of the sodas you know and love and took out all the bad stuff, the chemicals, the sugar, infused it with prebiotics and plant fiber. All of our sodas have 9 grams of fiber and anywhere from 2 to 5 grams of sugar, 30 to 50 calories. So it truly is a healthier alternative to, your traditional sodas out there. So where you might have seen OLIPOP out there in the market, we started our marketing strategy with a digital-first strategy. So we have a huge following on TikTok as well as Instagram from a social media perspective, and we work to infuse our brand into pop culture or human moments on social media to kind of infuse our brand in our target demos' everyday lives. So one example here was we were in the music video for Ice Spice and Nicki Minaj's Barbie song last year, and I think we all know Barbie was like the movie of 2023. So it was a way to, again, get infused with the culture of the moment. Last year, we also launched our brand platform, Real Love Makes Us, with Camila Cabello, which is the bottom video here. But we primarily launched it on CTV and OTT, so again, a digital-led strategy. So when we noticed that we created a brand platform that was fun, energetic, and it really provided a human connection with our target audience, I was tasked with how do we take the foundation that we've built and scale it. So when looking at all the media channels, I naturally went to out-of-home specifically because I knew that it was a way to build brand awareness at scale. So that's where I was thinking of, okay, how do I take out-of-home specifically to build brand awareness? But more importantly for us, we're all here to sell some sort of product. I'm here to sell sodas. So secondarily, it's important for us to measure in-store foot traffic to our retailers because now a majority of our distribution comes through retailers. Someone's going to try us on their routine trip to Target and Walmart when they're craving, a soda or something for that 3 o'clock pick-me-up. So we knew we had to drive in-store traffic as well as brand awareness. So that's really where we leaned into out-of-home and specifically digital out-of-home as well. When thinking about how to test this theory in our strategy, we decided to test it in one local market first to prove the value of this. So it was a marketing-led decision to go into one local market last year in October. We launched in Chicago. And we chose Chicago from a myriad of reasons. From a business perspective, we knew that we were well-loved on the coast, West Coast, East Coast. So we wanted to focus on the middle of the country because we knew there was a long runway for us of people who potentially were open to a healthier kind of soda, but may or may not know of what options were out there in the market. So it's a very diverse market from a demographic, a target audience perspective. And then from an out-of-home perspective, if any of you are from Chicago, you know it's very diverse from an out-of-home perspective. You have large formats, you have digital, you have non-traditional, and you have pockets of areas that not only are very residential, but big business areas. So there's opportunity for pedestrian-level street signs. So in Chicago, we started off with 11 tentpole large format placements, which a lot of them are pictured here. And we use those tentpoles as kind of our key pillars in the city to feel like we were infused as a part of the community. And then specifically with digital out-of-home, we added street-level pedestrian boards in some of those more walkable areas like the Mag Mile and downtown, where not only tourists were, but business commuters walking to their offices every day. And we use that as a vehicle for frequency to really level up our buy. So we knew that if someone wasn't going to see one of our large format placements, that we would more likely catch them with the frequency with digital out-of-home. And then I also wanted to speak to the community aspect here. So we went into Chicago with the intention of like, we wanted everyone to see us. We wanted everyone in Chicago not to miss us, and really feel like we were a part of the community. So we had a couple different elements that spoke to Chicago specifically. One of them pictured here is a mural that we did with a local Southside Chicago artist. We worked with him to concept the art for it and infuse not only depiction of the Chicago skyline as well as the row houses in Chicago, but with one of the iconic foods, the hot dog. So really creating a crave-worthy art piece that resonated with local Chicago. We also infused another digital element with our buy. So we have the data of people who we know has either been in the neighborhood of one of our billboards, so more than likely has seen one of our billboards. So we took those data sets and audiences and retargeted them with a local Chicago ad that was focused on, it had a tagline of like, "You're doing great, Chicago." We used some Chicago slang in it to try to catch the attention and really feel like we were a part of the community on a local level, and that it was truly a local campaign, and we weren't just blasting them with a generic national message. So everyone's wondering, how did it do? It was a test. So we had over 35 million impressions for the whole campaign. We had a few different elements along with the out-of-home. We had an influencer activation, we had PR, and then we sponsored local events. Pictured here also is one of the banners that I was mentioning of the retargeting, the digital re-engagement with the local Chicago message. So the main takeaways were that, in measuring our brand awareness, we did exceed ad recall for our billboards, as well as we had 90% ad likability, and 80% of people who saw our out-of-home had a better opinion of OLIPOP after seeing our ads. So to that, we really felt like our out-of-home messaging spoke to the local community, and it was a success in our book. More importantly, though, again, we're all here to sell a product. So to back up that awareness worked, we wanted to see if it drove sales. So by measuring foot traffic into our retailers, we saw that we drove over 117,000 store visits into our retailers, the Walmarts, the Targets of Chicago. And we also had a 4% increase in sales and a 1.3% lift in household penetration. Also, what we saw so we measured this pre-campaign versus post-campaign, and we kept measuring post-campaign, 30 days out, 60 days out, 90 days out. And what we saw was that actually in the longer tail, we saw that sustained increase in sales as well as household penetration. And I call this out because seasonally at the end of the year, you're thinking October, November, December, it's seasonally a low point for beverage. Particularly sodas, because people start to turn to other beverages, alcohol, entertaining, teas, and warmer drinks. You're thinking it's cold. So it was a success to us that we were able to kind of turn that around for Chicago and really maintain that increased level of sales in a seasonally low period for us. So we did have some learnings from Chicago. It wasn't perfect. It was our first test market. So wanted to walk through a few of those learnings. The first and foremost being to include all stakeholders. This Chicago initiative for us was primarily led by marketing first. It was led by the marketing strategy and the baseline of an out-of-home campaign. And kind of where we fell short for this was including all the stakeholders, our sales team in particular, to kind of match our level of marketing in the market. You know, making sure that the POSs and our retailers knew that we were entering the market with this major brand campaign. So we took that as a learning point to make sure that we spoke to our sales team earlier to get them involved. And then I mentioned sustaining long term. So we saw the long tail wind of this, and so we wanted to make sure if we were to repeat this again, to make sure that we didn't feel like a flash in the pan for the community and that we're in and out in 4 weeks and we're done. So how do we sustain the long tail of this at a local level and not just nationally? And then the last point here is to consider all customer touch points. So we had a few different activations outside of out-of-home, but it wasn't a true 360 yet. And we knew that there were other elements to include if we wanted to truly make this a full 360 campaign. So again, taking this into 2024, we were thinking, how do we include more channels and for a full 360 strategy? So based on all the learnings from Chicago and baseline, it was a success. So we decided to go on tour in 2024. We started in Chicago, and this year we just wrapped up our first city in Miami. So we launched a campaign in February in Miami, and it was 10 times bigger and better than Chicago. We definitely took all of our learnings and applied them to Miami in a big way. First and foremost, it was a full 360 strategy this time. So it started with the baseline of out-of-home, and we used out-of-home as a connection point for all of our other channels to lock into. So we started with buying a variety of out-of-home. We bought street-level digital out-of-home, again, for frequency in those high-traffic areas of Miami where people are walking around. And then pictured here is also one of our digital boats. So we had 3 digital boats that ran up and down the beaches of Miami, all the way from Fort Lauderdale down to South Beach. So we had these digital connection points to start it off. And then to plug into that, we had a few other elements. So we wrapped a bus, a double-decker bus in Miami, and it was one of those connection points where our influencer activation actually rode around in the bus in the city and caused a lot of uproar. They were going down Sunset Boulevard in rush hour traffic, and so it garnered a lot of eyeballs being in a wrapped bus, bumping music, and things like that. And then we also, again, worked with a local artist in the Wynwood district who is known for his Wynwood art to try to infuse our brand within the community. So what's special about Wynwood is that it's art first. So we worked with an artist named Brian Butler, and he was known for his murals in the Wynwood district, and so we went with an art-first approach, thinking brand second, because we wanted to seem authentic to the community. So these were a few different touch points of like how we used out-of-home to infuse other pieces of our marketing strategy and used it as a baseline, a connection point for the community. We also did a much better job with retail collaboration this time around. So we had support for our friends at Whole Foods, Publix, Target, and other of our major distributors in Florida. Lastly, we had 9 events. So we only had 2 or 3 in Chicago. We were the sponsor of the Publix Marathon. So again, it's using out-of-home as the baseline and then plugging in events where it makes sense with our retailers, with where we were in Miami. And then with digital re-engagement, so with Chicago, the digital re-engagement was just kind of a flat banner that spoke to Chicago, and it led to our .com, and really urged people to find our store locator to see where their closest retailer was for OLIPOP. For Miami, we decided to take that to the next level. So again, we had this bucket, this audience of people who we knew saw our billboards or were in the neighborhood of our retailers, and we pushed a digital coupon. So we worked with a $1 off coupon where you buy an OLIPOP, you take a picture of your receipt, and then we Venmo you back $1. Trying to make it as seamless as possible for a consumer, and again, taking that brand awareness, taking them down the funnel of consideration, and then pushing them for a reason to purchase with a $1 off coupon. So for initial results, I would say the main takeaway we know right now is that we definitely had the retailer match when it came to Miami. They increased their orders all around, and so we really armed our sales team with this marketing strategy for a pitch point to go to the retailers and kind of prove our commitment and our investment into the market, to show them, hey, we're invested in Miami, and we'd love to see some sort of match from their end. So a ton of increased sales and orders from all of our retailers, a ton of retailer support, including demos and double facings and things like that. So that was the major takeaway, and again, the benefit of a learning from Chicago of bringing in the sales team and the retailer team earlier, and using marketing as a pitch point for them. I also wanted to mention our dream job. So you may or may not have seen this in the news. We launched this as a part of our PR initiatives with our tour in 2024. So it's the last day to apply. We are hiring 2 content besties to come on tour with us. And I think most importantly here, it's a content creator and their best friend. So what we're trying to infuse is a human connection over soda, and bringing that human connection moment to OLIPOP. So we're bringing 2 people on tour with us, and most importantly, it's to bring that human connection to all of our local efforts from a community level. So for closing thoughts, first and foremost, take advantage of ad tech. Like I mentioned, we use the audiences from people we know, saw our billboards, and retargeted them with digital re-engagement, with the coupon, with the banner message. We have that tech. We need to take advantage of it and move people down the funnel. So it's another customer touch point to see your brand. Secondarily, as an example here from some of our upcoming cities, in a traditional placement, you could also use ad tech. So where it makes sense. This example here is on a metro where people are standing, commuting. They're standing in front of one of your billboards for a longer piece of time. They have time to scan a QR code. Take advantage of that and push to your website, push to, a quiz, a game, a coupon, something where it infuses tech into a traditional placement. Just because it's a static placement doesn't mean it can't come alive. Secondarily is to think 360. So it was a learning point for us from Chicago. We doubled down on it, went big in Miami, and we think it paid off. So think about every customer touch point, whether they see you on TV, then they go outside, they go commute to work, they see your billboard, they're scrolling on TikTok at night, they see an influencer post an ad. Think about the through storyline of all the customer touch points, and make sure it's one consistent storyline so that they know it's your brand through and through, all the way from awareness down to purchase intent. And then lastly, visual storytelling. So I think you guys know with digital out of home especially, it opens up a world of opportunity to tell a visual story, especially when someone's sitting a little bit longer at a stoplight. Use the animation to your benefit to catch eyeballs. For example here, animation with a glass filling up the billboard. It's unique to digital out of home specifically, so why not take advantage of it? It's real human eyeballs. So lastly, I know everyone loves a good sizzle reel, so I'm gonna end it with a recap from our Miami event, and then I'll take some questions.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 pop.
Awesome.
What a great kickoff, Sarah. Thank you so much. We have loads of time for questions. And throughout the next few days, so we get to know you, if you have a question, raise your hand. In my case, wave your hand frantically because I can't see in here. And we'll run to you with a mic, but please stand, tell us who you are and who you're with so we get to know you.
All right, right here. Hi, Alex from Ivy. As a Chicagoan, I saw your stuff a lot. The Gotham one's really
Yay.
great. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Congrats on Miami. Tell us kind of what's next on tour and what's on the wish list, like kind of learnings from Miami and things you want to do next.
Yeah, so we will be hitting 4 or 5 other cities throughout the United States this year. I want to keep them a surprise, so stay tuned. We might be heading to your market next. And I think where we want to take it to the next level is building upon all of our local initiatives and how it ladders up with our full marketing funnel. So, we have a national campaign going at the same time as local as we have our, always on initiatives. So truly finding that white space for where local fits in and really emphasizing in our local markets the community aspect of it and that, we're there supporting them for a marathon or demos in their local retailers. I think what's important for our local initiatives is getting product in hand and making sure that someone tries our product, because we find that as soon as they taste it, they know it's not a yucky flavor that they're more than likely to pick us up on their next routine trip. So that's really important for us on a local level.
Back there.
Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I'm with PJX Media. First of all, congrats on a terrific campaign.
Thank you.
It seemed the investment in a variety of formats aligned with the expected outcomes and the 360 integration. One really hyper-tactical question. Did you extend the flight in Miami? Because you noted one of your learnings was to do it longer.
Yes. So we did extend the campaign in Miami, mainly from a digital level. We thought about extending it from an out-of-home perspective, but really felt that it moved farther and from a more efficient level if we extended it digitally. So it actually still is going on. It's extended in Miami for yet another month until we kind of run our next national campaign that will take over from there.
And just a follow, how long was that extension? Like a couple months or?
So there's an additional month so far. So we
Okay.
launched in February, and we're still running now in March, and then leading up to a couple of national campaigns.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah, were you doing just a couple of questions about targeting? Were you doing any? Were you aiming for any particular demographic? Was that informing beyond simply reach? Was that informing some of your choices you were making? And were you doing any day parting?
Definitely. So for our main out-of-home campaign, we target 25 to 54-year-olds, knowing that our product is not a cheap product. It's not lost on us. So we want to make sure that someone is in the household income range to be able to afford our product. So that was the baseline when we go to each local neighborhood of where's the concentration of 25 to 54-year-olds. We didn't do any day parting so far because these were our first 2 markets. We really just wanted to focus on the audience first and then glean some learnings for the future of potentially where to day part next.
Were you also were you doing anything to tie this into point of sale channels like that other new emerging channel, retail media networks,
Yes.
as well as the delivery networks? Were you trying to echo this or work with those channels as well in concert with this, and how did that work?
100%, especially for Miami. We did not coordinate enough to have it together in time for Chicago, but definitely for Miami, worked very closely with my counterpart in retail media to make sure that not only point of sale in stores, that they found the product, but if they were to go to Walmart.com or Target.com, that we would have an enhanced presence on those platforms while we were in market in Miami.
And
There's
Yep.
one back here, Steve.
Go ahead.
James Heller, Rapify. Really cool product. Huge fan.
Thank you.
It actually caused some strife at home because the wife does all the grocery shopping, and I was drinking 2 of them a night, thinking that they cost like $1, and she informed me how much they cost. But still, big fan. Anyways, awesome omni-channel campaign. Curious did you use the out-of-home exposure to trigger digital? Like, did you actually use audience exposure to trigger digital? And could you walk us through like how you did that?
Yeah, so we did it. We definitely did it more in Miami. Like I mentioned, Chicago was a huge learning curve for us, and we knew that as soon as we had the audience and pool of people people who have seen our out of home, to definitely take advantage of that digitally. So launching not only geo-located digital, but then that data pool of people. The coupon was big for us because from what we saw in Chicago, it was like, yes, they were clicking on it because they saw, you're doing great, Chicago, and it spoke to them. So they're like, let me dig in a little bit more. But then with Miami, it was the coupon that really drove more sales because they were kind of incentivized to purchase, and it gave them a reason to purchase now. So I feel like the creative and the offer is almost a little more important than the targeting, because from a media perspective, you feel like you're targeting the right person, and it's at least 2 customer touch points and exposure to the brand at that point. So now they're like, okay, we know OLIPOP, give me a reason to buy. Like, why you? Why now? And so that's really what the coupon brought to the table.
Sarah, what a fantastic start. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys.